Happiness often feels like a mysterious guest who visits us unexpectedly, some fortunate blend of circumstances, personality traits, and perhaps a sprinkle of destiny. But what if happiness is less about chance and more about a craft we build intentionally? Imagine it not as a fleeting visitor, but as a sculpture shaped by our own hands. In today's episode, we dive deep into the transformative book, The Courage to be Happy, co-authored by Japanese philosopher Ichiro Kishimi and writer Fumitake Koga. This work draws on the revolutionary ideas of Alfred Adler, an influential psychotherapist from the early 1900s, who argued that happiness is not a roll of the dice, but rooted in two fundamental pillars: independence and community. At its heart, the book proposes that true happiness springs from our capacity to stand firmly on our own feet, while simultaneously weaving meaningful connections with others. This dual dance between self-reliance and social belonging is the essence of living a fulfilled life. Today, we will explore two critical questions. What does genuine independence mean beyond mere self-sufficiency? And how can we nurture stronger, more authentic bonds within our communities? Let's begin by unraveling the first cornerstone of Adlerian psychology, independence. From the moment humans first begin to think, a fierce longing stirs within, the urge to break free from helplessness. Picture toddlers, those tiny warriors of will, insisting on dressing themselves, pouring water, or tying shoelaces, actions they crave to master despite clear struggles. Long before they fully grasp the world, they push against the constraints imposed by others, eager to claim control over their movements and decisions. Yet, Adler's vision extends this idea beyond mere autonomy. It's a yearning for freedom, the power to choose our paths and act without waiting for approval from external forces. Because in truth, people don't just want to manage their own tasks. They want sovereignty over their lives. They desire the freedom to carve out their destiny, to step boldly onto their own stage and direct their actions, decisions, and growth. This is independence in its most raw, powerful form. This concept might seem straightforward, but how does one cultivate such self-rule? The Courage to be Happy offers two practical strategies for gaining independence. The first is deceptively simple, yet profound. Focus exclusively on what lies within your control. Adlerian psychology introduces the idea of the separation of tasks, a mental boundary that protects your agency. Each individual carries their own set of responsibilities, hurdles, and choices. Just as it's wrong to meddle in someone else's battles, we must fiercely guard our own. To identify if something is your task, ask two questions. Is the outcome something I can influence? Am I directly impacted by its result? If the answer to both is yes, that responsibility is yours. If not, release it into others' hands without guilt or hesitation. For example, consider a life-altering decision like choosing a life partner. This decision belongs to you. You are the architect of that shared journey and the one who must weather its joys and storms. Yet, outside voices, parents, friends, society, will weigh in, sometimes with good intentions, sometimes from misunderstanding. Their emotions, doubts, or praise are theirs to carry, not yours. Their disappointment or approval should never tether your heart or dictate your relationship's course. The lesson here is as clear as a mountain stream. Control your choices. Relinquish the weight of others' feelings about those choices. Independence grows strongest when you honor what you can change and let go of what you cannot. The second path to independence, as Kishimi and Koga explain, is the liberation from the chains of your past. Many carry their histories like heavy luggage, convinced that yesterday's events forever dictate who they must be today. Yet, Adler's revolutionary insight shatters this fatalistic view. It's not the past itself that molds you, but the meaning you choose to give it. You hold the pen that rewrites your story. Imagine your past as a vast canvas splattered with both light and shadow. The shapes and colors are fixed, but the story you tell about that painting can shift with your perspective. Are you a victim of circumstance, or a painter who blends those hues into a masterpiece of resilience? This choice is yours. You are not condemned to replay old scenes like a worn-out record. Instead, you can become the director who calls cut and rewrites the script on your own terms. Too often, people remain trapped in self-imposed prisons, repeating the mantra, "I am who I am because of what happened to me." These stories become excuses that block growth, barriers that cage the spirit. But the truth is liberating. Your past carries meaning only by the value you assign to it. Transform your interpretation, and you unlock the power to reinvent yourself, step into new roles, and craft a future that resonates with your deepest desires. However, walking the road to independence is not without its pitfalls. Kishimi and Koga identify 3 formidable obstacles that commonly trip people up. The first is a lack of courage. Fear lurks in the shadows, whispering doubts and magnifying risks. Many choose to avoid decision-making altogether, shackled by the terror of failure or rejection. Consider someone who clings to an unfulfilling relationship simply because the loneliness outside the door seems worse than the discontent inside. True independence demands owning not only your victories, but also your mistakes. Fear cannot become the puppeteer of your life story. Instead, it must be acknowledged as just one chapter, a lesson, not a sentence. Courage is the torch that lights your path forward, even when the terrain is uncertain and every step might falter. The second barrier is willpower, or the lack thereof. Some may not fear failure, but prefer the comfort of passivity. Picture the person who consistently defers choices. You decide, they say, abdicating their power to others. Whether at work, in friendships, or daily decisions, this surrender erodes autonomy and creates a life shaped by external forces, not inner conviction. Breaking this pattern starts small. Decide what to eat, where to go, or how to spend an afternoon. Each tiny choice is a brick in the foundation of independence. By training yourself to take responsibility for these everyday decisions, you reclaim the helm of your life. The third and most insidious trap is self-centeredness, disguised as entitlement. While as children we depend on caregivers, some adults never shed the mindset of being the world's center. They blame bosses, parents, or society for their troubles, expecting support without effort or accountability. Real independence means shedding the illusion that the world owes you. Life does not revolve around your needs or whims. Instead, it calls for ownership, recognizing that your future is shaped by your actions, not your demands. When you stop expecting handouts and start building your path, you step into true freedom. Now that we've explored independence, we shift to Adler's second pillar of happiness, community. It might sound counterintuitive. How can true freedom coexist with deep social bonds? But Adler argued that without belonging, our independence is incomplete. We are not islands, we are threads in a larger fabric. To live meaningfully, we must feel woven into something greater than ourselves. So, what does belonging really mean? It doesn't refer to superficial connections, like a list of followers or casual acquaintances. Belonging is that deep-rooted sense that your presence matters, that in some corner of the world, someone would feel your absence. It's the feeling that your existence has a place, and more importantly, a purpose. Adler calls this sense of belonging social interest. It's the inner orientation that says, I'm part of this human story, and I want to contribute something good to it. A person with social interest doesn't need applause to act kindly, nor praise to offer help. They simply want to make the world, even a tiny corner of it, a better place for others. But how do we develop this kind of social interest in a world where competition is fierce, judgment is loud, and isolation creeps in through every screen? Kishimi and Koga give us a striking reframe. All problems are interpersonal relationship problems. In other words, the source of most of our emotional suffering stems not from events themselves, but from how we relate to others in their aftermath. Think about it. Jealousy, loneliness, resentment, shame. These are emotions born in the space between self and others. Whether it's the sibling you compete with, the colleague who overlooks you, or the parent who never understood you, most inner turmoil has a social root. Even depression, from this perspective, can be seen not simply as chemical imbalance, but as a response to feeling unneeded, disconnected, or fundamentally unseen. So what's the cure for this relational pain? The authors offer a radical answer. Drop the desire to be special. Yes, it's a hard pill to swallow. We're raised to chase uniqueness, to be the best, the brightest, the one who stands out. But this pursuit of specialness often comes at the cost of belonging. If you constantly strive to be above others, you naturally separate yourself from them. The more you need to shine, the more isolated you become. Instead, Adler proposes something quieter, but far more liberating: the courage to be ordinary, to live without needing to be better than anyone, to contribute in small, steady ways, even if no one notices. It's not mediocrity, it's maturity. This shift changes everything. When you no longer need to win, you stop seeing others as threats. When you stop chasing validation, you start enjoying connection. Life becomes less about proving your worth and more about offering your presence. This is the paradox of belonging. When you stop trying to be special, you finally start feeling connected. And now, we arrive at perhaps the most unsettling idea in the courage to be disliked. One that challenges a belief most of us quietly carry, that life is something to be judged. We constantly ask, am I doing enough? Have I achieved enough? Am I good enough? Underneath these questions lies the idea that life is a race, a performance, or a scoreboard, and we fear falling behind, disappointing others, or worse, disappointing ourselves. But Adler flips this on its head. Life is not a competition, he argues. It's not a test to pass, nor a ladder to climb. It's a journey to participate in, fully, courageously, and honestly. The question is not, how am I doing compared to others? But rather, am I living in alignment with what matters to me? This is where the book's title finally reveals its full meaning. To live authentically, you must accept a painful truth. Not everyone will approve of you. Not everyone will understand your choices, your values, or your way of being. And that's okay. You are not here to win universal love. You are here to live your life, not someone else's version of it. The courage to be disliked isn't about being rude, defiant, or indifferent. It's about choosing truth over image, values over popularity, growth over comfort. It's the quiet bravery to stand in your own space, even when others step away. But let's be clear, this isn't easy. Choosing authenticity means risking misunderstanding. It means walking away from praise when it compromises your integrity. It means sometimes standing alone. Yet, this is also the path to true peace. Because once you stop contorting yourself to meet everyone else's expectations, something incredible happens. You can finally breathe. You can finally feel the weight lift. And for the first time, maybe, you can hear your own voice. Not the one filtered through fear or people-pleasing, but the one that has been waiting to guide you all along. This is the final invitation from Kashimi and Koga. Don't aim to be liked. Aim to live well. In that space between freedom and belonging lies the kind of life most of us yearn for, but few dare to